Syntax with Elliot, and this is the conclusion, or part 4, to our series on structural relations, where we'll be talking about C command and also sort of wrapping up the things we've covered in these 4 videos. So to begin with C command, and this is probably one of the most important concepts in syntactic structure, and it'll help us solve lots of really interesting problems and explain lots of interesting things later on. But for now, it's not the most intuitive concept, and I don't have a really good way to explain why it's important. So just stick with me, and hopefully it'll make sense as a concept, and will make even more sense when we get to put it into practice. So to define C command is fundamentally a relationship between one node and a set of other nodes, or a group of other nodes. So to read our definition, a node C commands its sister and everything that sister dominates. So there's sort of 2 parts to this, right? First, for any given node, we have to find its sister, and then we have to figure out everything that sister dominates. And those 2 groups, its sister and what that sister dominates, comprise the set of nodes that a given node C commands. So I think this will make more sense if we do an example. So we might ask, what is B C command? This node right here, B. So the first thing we have to do is look for B's sister, and if we remember the previous video, we know that a node's sister is any node with it shares a mother, that is a node that dominates it and its sister without any intervening nodes. So we can see that the sister of B is going to be C. C is B's sister. So a node, so B, C commands its sister, C, and everything that sister dominates. So now we need to look for what does C dominate. Well, C dominates the things that it's above, and that we can draw a direct line from it to. So C dominates E and G and F and H. So if we sort of circle all these things together, right, those are the group of nodes that B C commands. So if we want to state this more explicitly, B C commands C, E, F, G, and H. To do another example, and maybe to contrast C command with some other notions, let's look at A. So first, let's clean up this tree. So let's look at A, right? What is a C command? Well, we have our node A right here, and so first we look for its sister, but it doesn't have any, right? A is an only child, as it were. It's the root node. It's the node that everything else emanates from. And so A doesn't C command anything. And this is a really kind of striking contrast with dominance, right? Because A dominates everything else in the tree. It dominates B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right? But it doesn't C command any of them. All that it means to C command is to look at a node's sister, and then including that sister, everything it dominates. So now let's do some exercises, and you can kind of test out your understanding of this notion. So pause the video and try and think for yourself what each of the rest of the nodes in the tree C command, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, so because we did A and B, we can now ask, what does C command? And I should also probably mention that you might be wondering, well, what does the C in C command stands for? It's constituent. So the more you know. Okay, so we have, again, our definition down here. So first we need to look for C's sister, and that is B, as we already established. Oh, and let's put our C commanders in green. So C, and then B is its sister, And we also want to know everything that B dominates, so that's D, right? B is above it, and we can draw a straight line down. So the answer to this first question is that C commands B and D. Okay. For the next one, we want to know what D C commands. And the answer to that, right, again, we look right away. What are its sisters? It doesn't have any. So D, C commands nothing. So let's just draw a big X here, right? Not that C commands X. X isn't a node in our tree, but there's nothing that D, C commands. You might be tempted to say E or F because they're on the same level of structure, but we really need first to have this sisterhood relationship in order to get C command. So now we can look at E. We can look at E. And so E's sister, you might be getting tired of this little dummy tree that we've been using in all the videos, but we know that it's F, right? C is both their mother. And what does F dominate? F dominates H. So we can say that E C commands F and H. And now, to kind of look at the reciprocal of that, what does FC command? So here we have F, and we just established that E is F's sister. And since E dominates G, those both fall under the purview of F's C command. So F C commands E and G. And now we want to know what GC commands. And again, does G have any sisters? Does G have any sisters? And right, the answer is no. E is its mother, and E has no other daughters. So it doesn't C command anything. And if you just look over briefly, you can see that the same is true of H. F is H's mother, and F has no other daughters. So H does not C command anything. So after those exercises, let's take a look back, kind of put this in the broader perspective of constituency. So we started off this series of videos by talking about constituency and its importance for syntactic theory, and we gave the informal definition that a constituent is a word or group of words which function as a single unit. And we gave the example of the and cat, right? We can kind of tell intuitively that they have a very close relationship, unlike, say, the and chaste, right? Those don't have a very close relationship, but we can say the cat, no problem. And the cat also functions as a single unit as the subject of this sentence. But now, with all the notions that we've introduced, we can give a formal definition of constituency, which is pretty cool, right? So formally, we can say that a constituent is the group of terminal nodes that a single node dominates. So to kind of give some examples of this, right, we might pick a single node, such as this NP right here. And we want to know the group of terminal nodes. And if we recall our definition, a terminal node is a node that doesn't dominate anything, right? So this would be this determiner, this n, this v, this other determiner, and this n, right? So these are our heads, would be another way to say that. So the group of terminal nodes that the single node NP dominates, and lo and behold, we have the cat again, right? So we took our informal notion and we can now formalize it. The same thing is true, right? If we pick this single node, the terminal nodes that it dominates are the and mouse. And let's choose a different color here. One of the things we also notice, right, is this idea of hierarchical structure, that constituents can be nested. And this formal definition captures that as well. So if we pick VP as the node that we're interested in, we can see the terminal nodes that it dominates, right? That it's above in the tree, and that a straight line can be drawn down from VP to are chased the mouse, which we also noted as a constituent, right? As the action performed by the subject. So hopefully now you can see another reason to care about structural relations. They can help us formalize some of these informal notions that are so important to syntactic theory. So in summary, it's very important to be able to break down a sentence into individual levels of structure, but it's also helpful to look out at the tree as a whole. And there's a lot of interesting notions that we can derive when we take that approach. So in part 2, well, in all the parts, we learned some new terminology to describe tree structure. In part 2, we learned about branches, the things that connect different parts of the tree, nodes, such as N, NP, etc., the things that are connected by branches, root nodes, the node at the very top of the tree, from which everything emanates, and which dominates everything, terminal nodes, which are at the very bottom of the tree and don't dominate anything, and of course our notion of dominance, which we defined as one node dominating another if it's above it in the tree, and a line can be drawn down from the dominating node to the dominated node, straight down, right? Not going up or around. In part 3, we covered these sort of familiar relations such as mothers, daughters, and sisters, similar to a family tree. And this is sort of a restricted notion of dominance. So a node is a mother to another node if it dominates it with no node sort of intervening, right? It goes straight down through one branch. And sisters are daughters that share the same mother as in real life. And finally, in this video, we talked about ccommand, which we defined as a node. Ccommands those nodes, including its sister, and all the nodes that its sister dominates. In the next series of videos, we'll look at an application for these relationships called binding. And this has to do with fixing the reference of pronouns and nouns and reflexives, so things like Elliot and he and himself and herself and she and so on and so forth. And it's really interesting and important area of syntactic theory, so I'll hope you watch those as well. Thanks.